Okay. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Heart to Hands Happy Hour Trivia. This week we'll be having a panel discussion about case management and non-case management. So make sure that you tune in and make sure you watch this video thoroughly because we will have our 10 trivia questions on Friday. And the first person who inboxes us the answers to the first 10 questions on Facebook, and the first person who DM us the questions on Instagram will receive a $25 gift card, and we have a couple to choose from. If you're not familiar with Heart to Hand is a 501c3 community-based public health organization. We provide services for those living with HIV and other sexually transmitted infections. We're located in Largo, Maryland. We're the leading provider in Prince George's County. We have, of course, non-medical case management, medical case management. We have psychosocial support groups. We have a men's group. We have a women's group. We have a trans group. And also, don't forget to check out our Linktree link, where we're mailing out condom kits for people in the DMV area. That's DC, Maryland, and Northern Virginia. And also we're mailing out at-home test kits. So if you're interested in that, you can click on our Linktree link on either of our social media pages, and we'll definitely get it out to you. So first, I'm going to let our guests introduce themselves. We have Samantha.
All right, I am Samantha Towns. I am a social worker and I manage the medical case management program at Heart to Hand.
We have Erica.
Hello, everyone. I'm Erica Wood. I'm the non-medical case manager supervisor here at Heart to Hand. I pretty much oversee the benefits coordinators at the organization.
Okay. And we have Jalen and Latrell, which everybody's familiar with. So this week's topic, we're going to talk about medical case management and non-medical case management. So first, Samantha, can you kind of explain to us exactly what medical case management is?
So yes, so medical case management services, our main goals are to make sure persons that are living with HIV, making sure that you have medical insurance, making sure that you have medication, and that you're adherent to your medication, and making sure that three things: insurance. Oh, of course, making sure you're linked to an ID provider. So those are our main three things we focus on. But of course, we do provide referrals for other services, like if you need a mental health provider. Like you said, we do have psychosocial support, and that person is able to link people to long-term counseling if they need it. Of course, we refer out to food banks and different things like that too. But our main goal is to make sure that people have their medication insured, have an ID doctor, and they're adherent to care and going to their appointments.
Okay, and Erica, could you tell us about the non-medical case management?
Sure. So for non-medical case management, it's a bit different. I mean, we work together collaboratively, but we pretty much focus on the financial needs of the client. So just pretty much making sure that we're eliminating barriers for them to access different, needs. So say if they might need like financial assistance with rental, housing, utility, food assistance. We pretty much get them linked to those particular like resources so that they can pretty much be independent. Our main goal is to promote and support a client's maximum level of independency.
Okay, so basically the difference between non-medical and medical kind of more still focuses on like doctors and everything that goes along with that, and non-medical kind of focused on like different resources, and things like that that they may need. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I love that you guys touched on that because it is important for adherence. So I wanted to know, how does a non-medical case management and medical case management affect a person living with HIV? Does it help their well-being? Like, what are the benefits to that? And
Okay.
oh, someone go first.
Okay, so for non-medical, like I said, people with HIV, they pretty much have a lot of barriers. They face a lot of barriers to care. And pretty much if they're not financially stable, if they don't have any housing, then they're not really focusing on their health. They pretty much focusing on meeting those needs before thinking about their health. So for non-medical, like I said, we link them to those different resources. We get them the resources that they need. Sometimes it's complex, sometimes it's intensive, or it can be ongoing case management needs that they may have. And so we pretty much work with them, first they have to go through an intake. So the intake process is first to make sure that they are Ryan White eligible. And then we pretty much will refer them for medical case management, depending on the different triggers that they might, they might have at the time of intake. Sam, you want to jump in?
And so, yeah, I was going to say, like Erica was saying with the eligibility piece, that's one of the biggest things with medical case management. So on Erica's side, you have to have your stuff updated or you won't be able to continue services for medical case management. So all their services are free, but we have to comply with our funders and all of that. So we have to make sure you're eligible on Erica's side. But with medical case management, we do the supports around adherence and care. So we try to make sure we eliminate barriers to you going to the doctor's appointment. So if you need transportation for that, we help schedule transportation for you to go to your ID doctor. If you have barriers getting your medication, we do have a pharmacy that's on site. You don't have to use our pharmacy, but it is a little easier for us to use, but the pharmacy is able to mail out from there. Also with treatment adherence, we have those conversations with people about treatment adherence. So whether you're newly diagnosed and trying to understand the medication, or you've been taking the medication for quite some time and you're experiencing treatment fatigue. So we're just there to support all of that and help people really understand what their lab numbers mean. So your CD4 count, your viral load, people need to understand that and understand how the medication works in your body. So that's basically what we do. We provide that education and try to eliminate those barriers so that you stay in care.
Okay, so another question, I want to piggyback off of when you said Ryan White eligible. So like, what are some of the things that it takes to be Ryan White eligible?
Yeah, so the first process, like I said, is the initial intake. So during the initial intake, we would collect the client's demographic information. Most of that documentation includes, of course, the client's most recent lab work. So they have to be, that will show their proof of their status. So the labs have to be within the last 6 months. We get their proof of identification. That can be a photo ID, a passport, birth certificate and or social security card, their proof of income. Income could be pay stubs. It can be a benefits letter if they're receiving social security, food stamp letter, any type of verification from the government stating what type of income they're receiving. Residency, that can be a lease, that can be a utility bill, a letter from their landlord, that'll work, or whoever they're residing with, stating with the address included in the letter. The proof of insurance, they don't have to have insurance because, of course, us as case managers, we do assist customers with getting insurance. So we definitely assist with that. And then the last, did I say income? Okay, yeah. So the proof of status, proof of income, photo ID, residency. And those are the main things to make you Ryan White eligible. And you have to be below the income poverty level as well. So I want to say the most is between like 400 and 500% for the income poverty level guidelines.
Okay.
Got a question. So for non-case management, you said that you do for like housing and electric bills and utilities and things like that. So what are the qualifications for that though?
So that would be, so that's when we would complete, it depends on what type of application we're doing. So with those applications, that can be a EFA, which is Emergency Financial Assistance application, or a Strong U application, Strong U pretty much focuses on rental assistance and mortgage assistance. That stands for short-term rental mortgage assistance. For EFA, that's emergency financial assistance. EFA application pretty much covers rent, utility, telephone assistance, food assistance, sometimes medication assistance as well, but we pretty much don't do that because we get the customers linked to MedApp or health insurance period. So we pretty much don't have to use the medical assistance portion of the EFA. To make you eligible would be the same documents that's needed for intake. So you would need to have your proof of status, your proof of income, proof of residency, proof of photo ID, and insurance, and we already said status. So those are the main things that you will need for those applications.
That's great information. I always wonder, what if some of our customers are homeless? How can they achieve this information? Do you guys help them achieve getting this information, such as an ID, Social Security, et cetera?
Yes, we do. So depending on, we meet clients where they are. So they come in without a photo ID. Of course, we're going to help get them a photo ID. I know that the DMV the MVA will let clients get a letter from their ID provider stating their status, and they can get an ID for free. They don't have to pay for a photo ID. For Social Security, of course, the Social Security card is free as well. The only thing that they really have to worry about is like a birth certificate. And I want to say that's like $23. We will come up with a way to provide that if we have to.
So basically they come and see you, non-medical case management, before they go over to see medical case management. Okay.
Yeah, because they're meeting us at the first point of contact as far as the intake.
Okay.
And then they get referred back to non-medical case management after meeting with a medical case manager based on their needs. So of course, they're going to do a needs assessment for medical case manager.
Okay, so a quick question for medical case management. So I think you said that, I think Erica said something about the accounts have to be a certain level. Is that what I think you mentioned that?
For their numbers?
Yeah, the numbers.
I think she may have been, maybe you're referring to the triggers. Sometimes when clients may come in and their viral load or their CD4 count is at a certain number, she'll make sure she refer them to medical case management.
Okay, so when they come over to you, like what kind of techniques or what kind of things do you use to try to get them back adherent to their medication?
So after we, throughout the assessment and after the assessment, so the assessment that we do is called a biopsychosocial. So really the biopsychosocial is getting to know who you are. What issues have you had in the past? Not just with HIV, but you could have a trauma history. So we're getting to know each other. But I also tell people if there are questions that you don't feel comfortable answering, you don't have to answer that right now. So throughout that point, we get to know each other, and then we have to create a care plan after. And so the care plan is basically, I might feel like you need dental, vision, treatment adherence, and an ID doctor. I might feel like you need all of that. But you might say, well, I'm focusing on my medication and my housing right now. So I'm going to work with you on Erica, and that's all I want to do. So guess what we're going to focus on? We're going to focus on your medication. If you don't want to do dental right now, you don't want to do vision right now, then we're not going to do that. If you don't want to do mental health supports right now, we're not going to do that because it's the client's choice. And so that's one of the biggest things that we practice for medical case management. Even though somebody else may feel like you need something else, we're going to focus on what you feel like you need to prioritize at this moment, because that's really the only way. This is this person's care, this is their health, and that's the only way you're going to get people to be adherent with medication. Outside of education and supporting them where they are, you have to let people make their choice about what's important to them first. So we just meet people where they are, like Erica said.
So you have any more questions, Jalen?
Yes. So you kind of answered my next question about how you approach the client's goal, and you just told me that. But we talked about all this sensitive information in the beginning. I want to know, how do you guys establish trust with the client or the customer?
Honestly, after we set up goals, we talk about how often, people want to be contacted and things like that. So if you are initially, we don't always get clients in medical case management that are newly diagnosed. We get clients that are also, sometimes some clients just may need some additional support. Maybe they don't have a support system. Maybe they just need people to call them, check on them once a month, once every 3 months or something like that. So we support people in that way. But for other clients with building trust, honestly, I try to make sure I address people's needs. I be honest about, if I'm referring you somewhere and I know that we don't have control on what your outcome is outside of heart to hand, I'm going to be honest about that, because I'm not going to set you up for unrealistic expectations. But if it's something that we can address right here at heart to hand, I can guarantee like, hey, we're going to get this taken care of. So that's one thing. We just try to make sure we're very honest, and being upfront with the clients about what their responsibilities are, also being a client at heart to hand. So letting you know what my role is, but I can't do it alone. We have to do this together. So I don't expect you to come and know everything. That's what I'm here for, but we have to do it together. I can't do all of it on my side, and you're not going to be able to do all of it on your side. But rapport comes over time. Some people are going to be comfortable for a little bit, and I'll just use a newly diagnosed person, for example. They may be comfortable for a couple of months, and then they might drop off that third or fourth month, because now it's really hitting them, like they're really going through that grief cycle. So they're over the shock, they're taking their medicine, but then they get to a point where they're spiraling, like, you know what, like, actually I am HIV positive. Like, now it's really hitting me and I'm really dealing with it. So on our end, we just continue to try to reach out and reach people where they are. And then we are working with linkage to care at some point in the future. Hopefully we can start reaching out to people in a different way if you're not answering by emails or phone calls. So.
And I would like to piggyback on that and just remaining positive. We always try to stay positive, maintaining positivity, being very transparent with the clients. Again, with that, developing trust could be returning a phone call, a message, just having open communication with the clients as well.
So, well, basically, you guys covered everything that we had. But I do have a question that we didn't have. Like, so if somebody kind of like gets out of care, like I know they go through non-medical first. So how do you kind of reel them back in?
Far as non-medical?
Non-medical, yeah.
So of course, with what we do, the intake is like the first initial step. So then we have to do a 6-month reassessment. We do a 90-day reassessment first, and then a 6-month reassessment. So at the 90-day, of course, we're going to check back in with the clients and make sure we met the first initial needs and everything, or did they have any new needs? And then if we don't get any contact then we try again in 6 months, which is 3 months later. And that's how we pretty much keep track of the clients and keeping them in, because they have to be eligible in order to be referred for medical case management. So if they're not up to date on their eligibility, then they cannot receive services. Okay. Yeah.
That's what I want.
So we're doing those 90-day check-ins, those 6-month check-ins, and then of course, annual check-ins and renewals.
Okay. I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else, Jalen? Or does anybody else have any questions? Or
I have a personal question. This is just for you guys. I know kind of working in this role can be taxing and rewarding. I want to ask, how do you practice self-care, and what is the most rewarding thing about case management?
All right, self-care. So self-care for me is actually just taking the time away to, when I say I'm off work, I am off work. That was difficult for me. But anyway, just making sure I, honestly, for me, it's just me being at home, watching movies and doing nothing, like absolutely nothing, not thinking about anything, not doing anything, not going anywhere. And spending some time with family, friends, my nails done, things like that. So that's self-care for me, but it can be tough, like especially caring about the people that you work with. And
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
yes, it can be very tough. In this work, you lose clients because they have things outside of HIV. So you can lose clients to just either aging or just something else that they're dealing with outside of HIV. Their HIV can be well maintained, but whatever other chronic health issue they're living with, they could end up passing away. So it gets hard. So when I'm hearing about a client may not have insurance anymore, or you call them and check in, they were fine the month before, and then you finally talk to them and like, oh, actually, I haven't had medication in 2 weeks. It's like, what? We built this rapport. You didn't tell me anything. So it gets hard. Like I take that to heart when I have to actually deal with addressing needs for clients, and then you can't always address it at heart to hand. So you have to get things addressed with other agencies. You have to wait to hear back from other people. You have to continue to do follow-up. And then we have a whole team. So Erica has a team, I have a team. So she got other clients that she has to deal with on her team, and I have other clients that I have to help with from my team. So it can be hard, but we doing it.
I have one last question. So as far as Erica, I know like you do the non-medical case management. So it's like, you're helping them with all their personal needs. And so I'm sure that I know y'all both have a close relationship with them, but I know that you're kind of more personal because like you're helping them with their everyday needs. So like, I know that I see a lot of nurses, like my mom was a nurse. And I know that like sometimes she would go overboard with trying to help patients and things like that. Or just like I see my friends that are nurses from high school, I see that they be going through it because they may go to work and one of their patients have maybe passed away and it's somebody they have built a rapport with. So how does that affect you?
It definitely, like Sam said, it's like you have to have like a work balance, and it's kind of hard now because we working from home. But what I try to do is just try to it's just grace. Like I give myself grace, and I just try to just go with the flow. It can be very touching, especially now that people are really like losing their housing, and they're not working. So that really, I don't wish that on nobody, like to not have a place to stay. And that's why when I get these referrals for like rental assistance, I try to hop on it. I'm advocating all the time for the clients. They will tell you I'm calling, I'm trying to, I'm letting them know, look, I'm not gonna see you on the street, even if I got a big Deidre, somebody, we gonna make sure that you have a place to stay. So I just try to let them know that I'm there, like I'm here, I'm here for you. So it's definitely not easy. And then, but as far as like self-care, I like to get my nails done. If I'm off, I'm definitely off. I will not respond to no emails, no texts, none of that. So that's just what I pretty much do. I have my own family too at home. So it's like I have to balance all of that with them going to school from home. And so it's a lot, but I'm glad to be able to help people. Like this was my calling. This is what I've been doing for like since 2006. So it's been a long time.
Anybody else have any questions, or anybody want to say anything before closing out? Or
I have a question for both of you. Actually, I was going to say, what inspired you or got you into case management or into the health field in general?
Well, for myself, I started out working at Providence Hospital. I've been working since I was 16. And yeah, just I first was working closely with doctors. I was working for medical records, so I was doing like the billing and coding pieces. So of course, I had to deliver. Providence was like an old hospital. They didn't have electronic medical records, so I was literally that person. When you in the hospital, I had to go find your record and bring it up to the floor. That was what I was doing. So of course I would see a lot of different patients every day because I was just a young girl, you know, that worked in medical records and stuff. Like I always had long nails, so everybody remembered me. But anyway, I would like see patients and then I don't see them no more. So, you know, like that was real touching for me at a young age, just to see like, dang, death is really real. You know, like I don't really know their health issues, but I used to just being up on those nursing floors was really touching. And then from there, I had started doing it like eligibility specialists, and then I just got to case management. So I've definitely been in the health field for a long time.
For me, doing my bachelor's in social work, I want to say, I started with it was like a health care program linking people that had chronic illnesses to like get insurance. I was back in Alabama at the time, so of course resources were much more limited than it is here. So so I started there, and then I also was at Providence with my master's in social work. So my internship was assisting people in the emergency room. And that was if they came in and they were in having a mental health crisis. But also on the other side, I was helping with writing a grant for a HIV medical case management program. And so I was helping as a social worker or social work student with this outpatient ID doctor at Providence. And so I've just been in HIV case management since then. So that's been some years ago, but I've been, I guess, in the healthcare field since undergrad. So yeah, I've just stayed with it. But yeah.
Anything else? So before we end, I just want to thank you guys for joining in and being a part of it. Letting the people know what non-medical case management is and medical case management. And also before we go, I just want to make sure that whoever is watching this video, make sure you go to our social media and look for our Linktree links. And we are sending out condom kits to people in the DMV area. Also, we're sending out rapid or quick HIV test kits for people in the DMV area. And also, if you want to be tested for STIs, you can go to iwantthekit.org, and it's a program through Johns Hopkins. They're sending out at-home STI kits, and you can take it and send it back in. I've used it myself just to try it out, to see how it worked, and it does work good. So with that being said, thanks everyone for joining and being a part.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you.